think I hear the music.
Yeah.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to On Point, the number one Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on any smart device at David G. Evans, the number one. We're so glad you joined us once again for another stimulating conversation, centered, of course, about faith, rooted in the Word of God, but also addressing the political atmosphere. We talk about sports, we talk about culture, talk about all those events relevant to you, but from a biblical perspective. That could be national, international, local, regional, does not matter. We're so glad that those of you who call us and have made this program such a success continue to support the program. We want you to like us, of course. We'd like to reach 1,000 likes today. Subscribe to us, hit that notification bell, send us a comment letting us know how On Point is impacting your life. We're having such a great time in the time that we're living in, discussing those things from a biblical perspective. We talked about last night how when Jesus was on the cross and he said, Lord, into thy hands I commit my spirit, where did all that peace come from? And it was from a conversation he and God had already had. The Word of God is designed to speak to us before the test comes, before the problem occurs, so that we will have the assurance and have the faith and have the peace and the understanding that God has not abandoned you in the particular time that you're facing. Of course, joining us today is our world-famous co-host, Reverend Nicholas A. Smith. Hey, man.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, man. You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
We had a great time last night. I thought the preachers did a wonderful job. I was talking to them afterwards, and I said, you know, you guys have, they really come on, man.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, Pastor Grice and Bishop Anthony did a wonderful job last night. Your commentating challenged all three of us.
Oh, I knew y'all was coming. So.
You challenged all three of us. I was like, okay. By the time we got to into our hands, I'm like, my whole sermon had been preached. I had to start adjusting it while I was preaching, man. It was crazy. It's like, but we had a great time last night. If you missed our excellent Friday service last night, you can simply go on one of our platforms at BBC of NJ or at David G. Evans 1 on YouTube, I believe, and take a look at it. It's an unusual presentation of the 7 last words, music, dance, drama, and preaching. So you'll enjoy the different treatment. I certainly did. I have to thank Pastor Bush for his handling of the creative finance department, ministry, and how they just came in such a unique way. It was, and I didn't know Tyrus could act.
Neither did I.
Man, he had me convinced.
Yeah.
I had to turn around and tell the kids to shut up.
Yeah,
they thought it was funny.
Go.
Yeah, they thought it was funny, but there's nothing to laugh about. Let's be quiet.
Yeah, I know.
They're children.
They are.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, 866-74 Evans. Give us a call. We love to talk to you. Our legacy callers are jumping on, but we want our new people that have come to On Point who are watching or listening, depending on where you are. We want you to give us a call to 866-743-8267, 866-74 Evans. Give us a call. Scott from Vineland is on the line. Robin from Delaware. There's Robin. From Delaware, she's on the line. There's room. We want you to give us a call. Toll free anywhere in the world, 866-743-8267. Let's go to Scott from Vineland. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Bishop, Pastor Nick, what's happening?
Scott, what's up? All right, man. We're praying for you, Doc. We're praying for
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
What's on your mind this morning?
Just want to say thank you for what you've been doing, Bishop, and everything in your sermons, and even you, Pastor Nick, in the sermons, past one, of course, on YouTube, and when you pray, Pastor Nick, it helped Nye out a lot. It helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And Love you guys. And again, Bishop, thank you for the phone calls and everything. And,
Amen. Absolutely, my pleasure, man.
it means a lot to me.
My pleasure. Okay, those of you that are watching us may be wondering what we're talking about. Every time Scott calls, of course, in the past he has mentioned Naya, who is the young woman in his life. She passed away suddenly this past week, and we are rallying around him in prayers and whatever else he needs in order to help get through a very tough season. So we want our On Point family to join us in prayer. Pray when you get ready to pray today, tonight. Remember Scott from Vineland and his family and Naya's family. So I've known Scott since he was about, how old, Scott?
Snot-nosed kid, about 17.
Yeah.
I was a junior in high school. I'll make you laugh on this one.
Yeah.
That time I did something in track, and Pastor Jones, no offense, so he didn't know nothing about track.
Right.
He said, Junior Scott, Maine running the 400. He said, Reverend Evans, what's that mean? You said the brother was cooking. But
and you had a lot of snot too.
All right, bitch, you got to tell the whole story now.
Well,
but I appreciate it, guys.
I'm glad you called in today.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm glad you called in today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had to, and love you guys and appreciate all the prayers. And Bishop, take care. I'll see you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Right. That was Scott from Vineland. Let's go to Robin from Bear, Delaware. Hey, Robin. Hey, Robin. Robin, are you there?
Oh, good morning.
Hey, Robin, how you doing?
Good morning, Bishop. Good morning, Pastor Nick.
Welcome to On Point.
Yeah, before I say what I wanted to say, I want to just say to my brother Scott, who I haven't met, my condolences and prayers with you. That kind of put me in a shock.
I'm sure he appreciates that. I'm sure he appreciates
that. Yes, because, when he calls, she'll say something in the background. He'll talk about it. So, God, you have my prayers and condolences. And anything that I can do, I know you just, let Bishop know, and he'll let me know.
Sure. What's on your mind this morning, Rob?
Would you great say, Bishop?
What's on your mind this morning?
Well, I see y'all done moved up like the Jeffersons. I'm loving it.
Trying something different.
We went up a little higher.
Right, yeah, literally.
Literally higher.
I'm loving it. But I'm just going to be quick.
Oh, Lord.
As I always say, I ain't going to change on that.
Oh, Lord.
But first I want to say to Pastor Nick, the Holy Week has been awesome. But, Pastor Nick, something that you said when you talked about how Adam, at the tree, sinned at the tree.
Amazing.
And Jesus, when you broke it down, your message really was like, I've never heard it taught like that.
Out of control. It's out of control, Robin. He was out of control.
Yeah, but Pastor Nick,
thank you.
I love you. I love your message and your teaching, and I'm just thankful for you and Bishop because I've learned a lot under you.
God bless you, girl.
But, yeah, my concern is, and I just have one question, Bishop, I've been wanting to ask you for a while, but I'm concerned regarding the United States citizen who was detained coming back from Canada, how they treated them, kept them for hours in jail. Then they're talking about United States citizens, which Trump wants to do when he was talking to the El Salvador president, how maybe, you can build 4 or 5 more prisons so we can even send United States citizens there from criminal records.
Yeah.
I know you already told us in the past, just keep our eyes, the safest place to be in church, but why is all this happening like now? What is it? I know God's working behind the scenes. I'm just concerned.
First off, Rob, the whole deportation thing has never been entirely about criminals. The deportation agenda, the deportation mission or mandate that they think they have is all about reducing a population that can vote against them. There's a section of our population that feels displaced, feel like they've lost their country. And the amazing thing about that is that the minorities that seem to be the brunt of this blow never thought they were in control and never thought that they were influencing the nation. All they wanted to do was have some equality. But Pastor Nick taught me a while ago that when you're an oppressor, the word equality feels like oppression to you. So what we're witnessing is that in order to, watch this, fulfill the agenda of Project 2025, which is to put a certain part of America back in check, back in force, you have to deport the competition. So the first line of defense, of course, or offense for that, were Hispanics, Latins, Venezuelans, Cubans, who, because of complexion issues, not issues, complexion realities, thought they were in close proximity to being white. Now, we shouldn't be surprised at this, because black folk went through the same color consciousness years ago. When I was a young man, the lighter your complexion was, the more attractive you were, and the more acceptable to white people you were. That's just a plain fact. It's the way we were. And there was intercultural discrimination based upon complexion of skin. Most people that are young don't know this, but this happened to us. So there was a time when even in our culture, the lighter you were gave you closer proximity to European and Caucasian people, and that made you, quote unquote, more acceptable. Now, that transition changed. We watched it happen on the front of magazines like Ebony and Jet. It went from black people that had largely Caucasian characteristics or visuals, and the cover people got darker and darker, and the hair got more natural and more natural. This is a fact that people don't talk about. So we should understand, on one hand, how the Hispanics and the Latins and the Cubans thought that that proximity was going to help them. But they found out that at the end of the day, they were accepted and not necessarily liked. All right, there is a difference. So what we're seeing now is that they are the test cases. And I believe with all my heart that we are the next target for this kicking people out of the United States. Because if your birth certificate won't validate it, then that happens for a lot of people. And it's even happened with women that did not change their birth certificate when they got married. Most women don't do that.
They don't.
They leave the birth certificate the same. But now, if you don't have they want to make it legal that if you don't have your husband's name on your birth certificate, that you're not legitimate.
But so, your birth certificate is for that you're showing that you're born.
That's a minor technicality in the Project 2025 agenda. It's a minor technicality. And what's happening is, it was a stroke of genius. I'm going too long. I'm sorry. It was a stroke of genius.
I need to hear this.
It was a stroke of genius that they made the Project 2025 document almost 1,000 pages, because most Americans that needed to read it never read it. So they were able to vote in ignorance, not knowing what the agenda was, what the playbook was for the incoming administration. And the nonsense about our president not having any connection to the document is just wrong. He's got people working for him now in his cabinet, working around him in the White House, that were some of the authors of parts of Project 2025. But in addition to that, and this is a biblical example, God's name is mentioned so many times in the Old Testament, you know the Old Testament is about God. Jesus' name is mentioned a bunch of times in the New Testament, you know it is primarily about Jesus. Now, his name is in Project 2025 over 300 times. The document is about him. And if that's a doubt, then the actions that have been taken in accordance with that document since they got in office is substantiation for the fact that that document is this party's playbook for this country right now. And they're making a mess of the plans. They're going to turn the wealthy against them, because they won't keep losing billions of dollars in order to support him. They will not. So a couple guys made a couple $1 million back earlier in the week, but trillions were lost in a matter of a day or two. And the market is still rocky. Billionaires are not going to sit for this.
You're not going to sit. But, Bishop, regarding the birth certificate, you get married, I mean...
I'm telling you what they're saying now.
Well, I mean, so you got to go and get another birth certificate.
You got to go with your married name on it.
Wow. Yeah, this is, I'm just thankful I know God. I'm just so thankful with y'all because I've learned so much. Lord, you always said we got to stay close.
This is a come to Jesus time. You hear me? It's a come to, not a moment. It's a come to Jesus time.
Thank you, Rob. Prayed up and protect. All right, Bishop. Y'all have a blessed day. Love you, Bishop Pastor Nick. Talk to you soon.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, Evans. This is On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any smart device at David G. Evans, the #1. Why don't you like us, subscribe to us? We need 1,000 likes today. Help us with the algorithm. We also want you to hit that notification button. Subscribe to us. We need to get our subscribers going. Come on, everybody that knows us, everybody that likes what we do, subscribe to us. Help us move along this platform because we believe we're here to help you. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. We're going to talk to Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bishop.
How you doing?
Good morning, Pastor Nick.
Hey, sir. How you doing?
Hey,
Bishop,
Tom, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Political. So, your governor, I have to call him your governor because you live in Florida, had some stuff to say about Byron Donalds. I want to get your perspective on this. Now, he accused Byron Donalds of missing votes while he was out campaigning.
Not being there.
Yeah, campaigning for the president.
Yes.
Totally dismissing the fact that when he was running for governor, he missed more votes than any politician in Florida's history.
Correct.
Okay, can you tell me, how is it you can be that wrong and with apparently no conscience stand up and accuse somebody of not just the same thing, but much less of an offense than you did?
I think he thought if he threw it out there first, nobody would investigate him or it would stick to him.
Okay.
But he's getting stuck with his wife right now. Big time. You know that there was $62 million that came through from corruption of Medicaid or something else. Well, when that money came through, it was a win for the state. But all of a sudden, when that $62 million came through, $10 million of it went into his wife's charitable. She has a charitable, which does some good work, but it's not traceable once it goes into that fund.
Is it legal to do that?
Well, that's the whole point. And the thing which I'm loving right now is the Republican-led House down here is investigating the governor's wife right now. The governor, I think Thursday, called him an idiot. And this is Republican, head of the Senate here in Florida.
Yeah.
Governor called him an idiot. He told the governor later on in the day, maybe the governor, but we're equal as far as power, and we're going to investigate this because we want to know where that $10 million went. Not only that, they can't really trace if that's going to go into her running for governor's campaign next year.
Now, when you say they can't trace it, what are you saying?
That her nonprofit, the way the books are set up, she does some good work with it, but everything's not totally traceable or leads to where all the money goes.
At least they're trying to give the public that perception, because I think when the government wants to find something, they can find it.
Well, I know the governor is very upset with his Republican counterparts in the House. And I think part of the pushback is what he's doing with taking ICE, letting them go on the college campuses. He's doing a lot of things which a lot of Hispanic people down here are up in arms about.
Yeah. And
they're poking their people.
Okay. Do you have any insights on the shooting in Tallahassee?
we hear about it down here. The guy was supposed to be a racist, or
he's a right-wing guy.
Yeah,
a right-wing guy.
word he
Yeah.
used.
He was the son of a police officer too, I believe.
Yeah, his stepmother
Yeah.
was a sheriff's deputy, but he was they call him a white supremacist or white supremacist views.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he made it. Yes, he's in custody.
Okay. I'd heard they caught him. I'd heard he had been wounded. But I'm not sure what about the kids that were wounded by him.
There were two that were deceased,
He killed
and
two?
I know there's one in critical. There's a couple others, but two that are no longer with us.
Now, I understand that FSU is a huge university in the middle of a city. They say about 30,000 students, 500 acres in Tallahassee. Is that true?
That city survives because of that school.
Okay, so it's a college town.
Exactly.
Okay. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I maybe my consciousness, the stream of consciousness is a little tangential, but I thought of, Pastor Nick, I thought of how the whole immigrant deportation model is based on 12,000 criminals over the last 20 years, committing 12,000 crimes, versus the number of lives that have been taken by American citizens that are legitimate. I don't know how you crucify a whole group of people over a 20-year period, over 12,000 crimes, and probably one mass shooting would equal all the victims of those 12,000.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding how we can. The logic is so stupid, if I can say that's contradictory. The logic is so illogical that it makes it offers clarity if you want it for your position, but absolute foolishness for anyone that's listening closely.
Yep.
Bishop, you must have, this morning I was listening to a thing on NBC that said exactly what you just said.
Really?
It took a percentage. It said that if you take immigrants, not just from today, but going back throughout history, Americans, homegrown, do 2 to 2.5 times as many violent crimes.
Okay.
So we're much more adept here to doing something horrible than an immigrant.
And we're unique in the world when it comes to this kind of violence. You know, they've got countries where everyone, of course, is a part of a militia if they're called up for battle. Yeah. So they've got weapons, you know, in their homes, and they don't have any kind of murder rates like we have. You know, there's not, like in Israel, I don't think there's a home without a weapon in it. I think in Denmark, everybody has a rifle or weapon if needed. But you don't hear about murder rates and mass shootings.
Yeah, this is a little different. I had a friend who was a missionary in South Africa. And he said, I knew I wasn't home, Tom, when someone raped someone. And he goes, they had a little trial, and they took him outside. They put a tire around him and lit him up.
Wow.
Jeez. And he goes, I knew I wasn't in America any longer. But his point was that justice was done immediately. So those countries, and this thing with sending these guys to this prison where they know they're going to hurt you and torture you. I don't care if you were in trouble. Not unless you were a murderer. Why would they?
I think they're making an example. I think they're seeing how far they can stretch the law. And the reality is, they're not really worried about the illegality of deportation because the legal process can drag out so long that it won't matter to the victims. The process can become so slow. And the government basically said, we can't get him back, which is a bold-faced lie.
Oh, yeah.
They could ask for him and he could be sent back today. So that's not true. Now, either we're the most powerful country in the world or we're not. So all of a sudden, The guy that you're telling to build prisons, you can't tell him to send a prisoner back?
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense.
Nope.
He would have sent him back on a heartbeat. Or because he knows he's getting paid from Trump. If Trump said send him, he'd have been sent.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop, let me leave you with this. You're looking kind of sharp with that coat.
I told him.
It was cold up here last week, man.
No, Bishop. You always look good. But you're looking, you got it going today.
They got the shaft.
Got shaft working today, boy.
Oh, yeah. It's working, Bishop. It's working.
I appreciate that, Tom.
All right, take care.
Talk to you.
Right, see you, Tom.
All right.
866-743-8267. 866-743-8267. Y'all been waiting for me to shave this head, so I got it shaved now. I got to do a little something different. Amen. I got to bring it on up with the rest of you guys since I took my hair off like you guys have taken yours off years ago.
Yeah, it's time. Sometimes it's time
Yeah,
to
well,
let it go.
I just tried to hold on as long as I could. We got Rosie from Lindenwold.
Oh, Jesus.
Hi, Rosie.
Hi, Bishop. How are you?
Fine. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Welcome to On Point this morning.
Yes. I'm going to, when you talked last night about I've had this conversation before,
Yeah.
25 years ago, I started keeping my first journal.
Okay.
And I pulled it out a couple of days ago. I didn't read it until this morning.
Okay.
The things I wrote in that journal are relevant to my life right now.
Oh, absolutely.
So the stuff, but it had even, it's like, okay, God, I wrote everything down, and it's coming to pass now.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about the conversations you had last night, and I'm like, oh, my God, I've had this conversation with God before.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, it blew my mind when I read it this morning.
I think more people would read their Bible if they realize a great portion of that word, of that Bible, is designed to prepare you for what's coming next.
Yes. I wrote this journal in 2020.
Okay.
And I have not looked at it in years, just years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other day I pulled it out.
Yeah.
And this morning I opened it up. And I read some of the stuff that I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the poems that I wrote. And it blew my mind because I said, you know what? I had this conversation with God already about my future.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to me how if people would just take the time, God talks about who we can become a whole lot.
Yep.
Talks about what's possible in the future a whole lot. The places that he's positioned us to be in a whole lot is in that word. And if we would just understand, he wants us not to simply react to our environment. It's like I was in a group of pastors last week, and I was telling them, I said, part of our problem is that we're reactive and not prophetic, because prophets looked forward, and courses of action were thought out, looking forward. People tend to just simply wait to it's almost like I used to be a catcher in baseball, and when you first start catching, you think you're back there simply to catch the ball until you figure out part of your job is to direct the pitcher.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you realize you're almost the captain of the entire field. And,
right.
But the pitcher responds to your suggestions.
Yeah.
And so it went from simply sitting behind the plate to, knowing the batters and saying, we're going to take this guy inside, waving a pitch off. No, this guy's going to hit a curveball out the park.
Yeah.
Let's do a slider in here.
Yeah.
So we have to start being proactive.
Right.
And what God wants to do is put us in a proactive position. So when we end up on a quote-unquote cross, we've already had the conversation about how that thing's going to go.
Right, because I didn't realize back then I had already declared Jeremiah 1:5 in my life. I thought I had just came up with that recently in the last couple of years. Did not know that I wrote it in that journal back then.
You and God talked about it 5 years ago. Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad the message last night hit home for you.
That hit home for me. I didn't realize it hit home though until I got home and read my journal.
Well, a lot of
But it
people,
did.
a lot of people there last night when I heard the crowd respond when I took us to Psalm 31 and read the words in verse 5 or 6, I think, where it says, "Into thy hands I commit my spirit."
Yes.
That's when people exploded and realized that Jesus was already prepared for where.
It was already
Fulfilled
prepared.
prophecy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So God had already prepared me back in 2000.
Yeah.
Actually, for my life that I'm having right now.
How's that dog doing this morning?
Oh, look, I bet you eating that food.
All right, girl. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. God bless you. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. There's no names on the board, but I believe we have some people in the queue. Okay. We got Derek from Camden. Hi, Derek. Hello, Derek.
Hey, how you doing today?
All right. How you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling good.
Welcome to On Point. That's good. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor Thursday and I got my neck brace off.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
How's it feel to be free?
it was wonderful.
I told you. How are your arms and your hands doing?
My arms are still there.
Okay.
But they had me walking today.
Good.
With the stretcher.
You got to do it, man.
Yeah.
Even when you don't feel like it, you have to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Even though my fingers are not numb no more, you told me what to do. So
there you go.
I did it.
There you go.
Oh.
Always remember now that sometimes when we're trying to rehab, we will try to protect ourselves from the pain.
Right.
And over a period of time, you'll get stiffer instead of more limber. So you want to make sure that you don't hurt yourself, but you want to press through and not feeling like it and press past the place where, it hurts just a little bit, where it gets your attention. But don't avoid it because you'll stiffen up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, don't avoid it.
I'm trying to do the best.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Of course, we prayed for you, so we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw you Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, locked in on Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw you.
So I'm doing better.
Good.
I'm doing much better.
Good.
I might be getting out and going over to my aunt's house for a while.
That'll be good.
So the therapist gonna go over here for a minute. Then I'll be going home.
You come a long way since being hit by that car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. She wasn't looking where she was going, so.
Yeah, long way since you've been hit by that car. I told you what God was going to do for you.
Uh-huh. Well, he's a good God.
Yeah, and he's doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, he works in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're not so mysterious. He's very obvious at times too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obvious he's healing you.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Well, good to talk to you, Derek.
Okay, it's good to talk to you too.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, 866-74 Evans, toll free. Give us a call. This is On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call and talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any smart device at David G. Evans 1. Some of you that may be new with us maybe wonder why we're talking to Derek the way we're talking to him. Several months ago, he was in Camden and he was struck by a car and very, very, very seriously injured. And he's been calling in and we've been praying for him. Mm-hmm. And the Lord is raising him up. He had been a little discouraged because he thought he wasn't healing rapidly enough, but then God started to move incrementally in his life, and now he's saying he thinks he's getting ready to leave the rehab center. So we are just praising the Lord for him, and we ask our On Point family to continue to pray for Derek from Camden. Yep. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. I am distressed. I'm not sure, Pastor Nick, if I understand. I don't know how to say this any more articulately than this. the level of lack of humanity that's being displayed.
Mm-hmm.
I need one of my Republican friends to, and I have a lot of them, to explain to me how cutting the Head Start budget and eliminating feeding kids helps their agenda.
Now they're claiming, I can't speak for all of them, but the ones I heard, well, it's going to the state level, so the states are now going to be responsible. But the problem is, if 20 to 30% of your budget is federal,
Thank you.
the states can't make up.
Thank you.
There's a reason why they're getting the
Thank
federal
you.
funds in the first
Thank
place. I told you we were like a couple weeks ago about that the school in either Alabama or somewhere down there, and the principal, and they were interviewing the teacher. They voted for Trump,
I saw it.
and they were saying, but we didn't know he's going to cut this stuff off. What are
Why?
our kids going to
Why?
do?
No, they thought they wanted to cut all
Yes,
the kids
yes.
in urban centers.
Yes, not.
Not in the suburban or rural areas. That's
Yep,
what they thought.
That's what they thought. Yep. And the southern states are going to be hit the most.
Of course.
Most northern states are going to be, for the most part,
Head Start's a big deal down south.
yes. Northern states take care, but southern states, they're going to have a little problem with this because
They don't have the money.
they don't have the money for it. Kids with disabilities, all that stuff.
All that.
They didn't consider how it was going to affect.
And then they cut the heating subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
Now down south, that may not be, it used to not be as critical.
now, yeah.
They're having snowstorms and ice storms down south now. And I never heard of that when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mostly northern, eastern
Yep.
cities. So those urban centers are going to be impacted. I don't understand the level of the lack of humanity that we're seeing.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how that fits a political agenda, other than the fact we need to get this money so we can give it to the people that have money already.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Entitlement blinds you.
Yep.
It makes you arrogant.
Yep.
Well, it makes sense because biblical pride is, in the Hebrew, is a smoke and vapor.
Okay.
So it's like walking out in a heavy fog.
Okay.
And pride, and walk out in heavy fog, the only person you can see clearly is
you.
yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're entitled, when you're stuck in that, you can't see anybody else.
Yeah.
So everything's always related to,
That Bible's amazing.
I know it is, and to you,
Oh.
until it affects you, then all of a sudden it starts to kind of,
Yeah. When the fog lifts.
yeah, what about me? Well,
Unbelievable. The lack of concern. It's staggering to me. Even though I'm hearing it every day, I'm still staggered by the obvious, intentional
yeah,
lack of concern.
yeah.
I don't get it.
I agree with you. I thought there were some things we knew were still there, but we thought certain things we were past.
Yeah.
We didn't think, most people didn't consider this type of Nixon type era would come back.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing it right before our eyes. And again, same thing with Nixon.
Yeah.
This playbook is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
As
a lot of
Nixon, Andrew
similarities.
Jackson, it's
A lot of
all
similarities.
the same.
Yeah.
And we saw how Nixon ended up.
Yes.
But at least there were people that had the fortitude to act with Nixon.
Yeah.
I don't see that much now.
I think it's going to come down to money in this situation. I think the billionaires are not going to sit quietly and lose money every day.
Yeah.
Messing around with our president. I believe that the tariffs were stopped because Jamie from Bank of America and a couple of those guys called the White House and said, "Look here, you're messing up." So now there's a halt on it. Some countries, they're saying, and it's a shame that you have to discount everything you hear coming out of that press secretary's mouth. Do I believe that all the nations are trying to cut deals now? No. Do I think that Mexico is suddenly, okay, Canada? No, they're not. No. But to put a face on it, it would be better to just say, we made a mistake.
Yep.
Now the fact that they made it's costing people trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Just like with the whole cell phone thing. Why not just say we messed up?
Yeah.
And then people will let you get past that.
Yes.
But then the reporter has to bring out the evidence, and then they say that the classified stuff is not classified anymore. But it's always about, well, what about Biden? What about, they're not in office.
They're not in office anymore. You guys are.
So the other thing that seemed kind of critical to me is that I'm still waiting for someone to find out that guy was not added by mistake.
By mistake, yeah.
That he was in somebody's phone. And to me, that person was playing both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's true.
You're giving them scoops every now and
Yes.
then. Okay.
To get the stuff out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But but you know what? We were warned about this years ago. That there was going to be this upcoming racial, economic, social thing that's coming back. And I'm not surprised by it. Not to this, some things I'm surprised about to this degree.
Yeah.
But we saw it the last time in 2017. No, that's when he got, that first time.
Yeah.
And then we saw how the Democrats, how they blew it in that 4 years of Biden to set up that next 4 years. I don't know, just...
I think that what was missed was I think the Dems did not understand the affinity that some people would have for our present president.
Yes.
I think they, I heard a guy say they just like the fact that he speaks his mind. Not necessarily that what he's saying is valid, but I told you before, my friend Herb Lusk, who was a Republican for the last 25 or 30 years, first time he was elected, our president was elected, I called him and I said, Herb, how can you back this guy? And Herb said, oh man, that's just campaign talk. I said, okay. And I waited 6 months after he was in office, and I called Herb again, and I said, all right, you said he wasn't going to do it, just campaign talk. He said, oh man, that guy's crazy. I said, well, but you guys voted for him. But they honestly thought that my perception of that was, okay, he's going to do all these things, but for some reason, there's this ring of protection around certain individuals and certain ethnicities, and it's not going to touch them. And they're finding out now that's not true at all. Because Cubans in Florida were tremendous support for Republicans. And now they're up in arms because they're about reducing the number of people that they don't want here. In the face of the fact that the president and the vice president are both married to immigrants. So they're acceptable immigrants. Well, I want to know, how do the wives feel about the fact that their husbands are deporting or against their own people?
Well, if you don't see yourself with those people, I can't speak for them, but some people, they don't see themselves the same as them. It's like among Latin American countries, certain ones from this country will look down on us from this, but they're all Latin Americans.
Absolutely.
The Puerto Ricans look down on Mexicans and in that infighting. Same thing right here. We're not you.
That's right.
We're above you.
The only place that I've ever seen that divide non-existent is Jamaica. And I didn't know it was non-existent until I rode from Philadelphia to Jamaica, sitting next to what looked like a Caucasian man. He was a Caucasian man. And he asked me, he said, I don't understand something about you Americans. And I said, well, what is that? He said, what is this with you guys? You have Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans. Why is that descriptive attached to your nationality? I said, I don't understand what you mean. He said, in Jamaica, we don't say white Jamaicans, Asian Jamaicans, Egyptian Jamaicans. We're all just Jamaicans. And I said, you're kidding me. He said, we don't have the problem. So we're divided in ways that are non-productive for us as a nation. And the only time we value each other is if a war breaks out.
Yes. Well, it makes sense. This whole country was built on division. It was built on violence. And the same spirit of how this thing started keeps resurfacing over and over again.
Absolutely.
And now it's, the natives were here first. English came over, then it's, and all that stuff. And it just keeps going off. Well, this melting pot, like you said, of Americans, when we go war, we're fine. Yeah. Outside of that, because here's the thing, now we're talking about it. Okay. Hope it doesn't get us in too much hot water. You always say it's okay to be racial, but you can't be racist. Which I absolutely agree with. There's a difference. Absolutely agree with. I don't see anything wrong with, we can be Americans, but still value your Asian ancestry, your Irish ancestry. But, that's right. But now we're starting to see this, no, we don't want that element. We're quote unquote all Americans. It's threatening. But to me, if you can have St. Patty's Day, and that's not an issue.
Did they banish St. Patty's Day?
No. We could celebrate Juneteenth. Cinco de Mayo, the biggest...
Because Black History Month has been suspended, right?
Well, no, it's still going on.
I thought they suspended it.
No, they didn't suspend it, no. Just in federal things, federal agencies, they have certain things. So they're not going to
acknowledge it, right?
They claim they're going to acknowledge it still.
That's the inclusion part.
Yes. Okay. You look at the Cinco de Mayo party. That's a celebration of Mexico's independence. Look at all the Mexican restaurants on that day. What color people are there? Not Hispanics.
Not Hispanics. It's insane. It's insane.
Okay.
I mean, how many times you go into an Asian restaurant and the majority of people sitting in there are not Asian?
But we've seen it. You said who determines what.
That's right.
So when it's a different group, it's wrong. Our group, where it's braids, weave, bad. One of the Kardashians, one of the other groups, braids,
fake everything.
Now it's in style.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's it's okay. Here it is. It's okay to take parts of the culture and celebrate that, but try to discard the culture at the same time. Absolutely. And demonize it. I got a problem with that.
It's so unbalanced. Yeah. And it has no flow as it relates to consciousness and intellect, that it is baffling to me. Yeah. Because it's just so obvious. But what I noticed is when a lot of politicians are lying to the camera, you can actually see the vacancy in their eyes that they're saying something they don't believe. Yeah. And I call it a bathing suit competition. That's all it is. They get on camera. Yeah. We know he watches TV. I've got to say something that he's going to be pleased with. Yeah. Even if it makes me look stupid.
Yes.
Like telling somebody who got fired, you deserve to be fired. Yeah. And then telling them no one deserves watch this, to have a job that people's taxes are paying for. Yep. And they're not productive. How can a lot of politicians even say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Number one, they'd have no salary if it wasn't.
Right.
They don't worry about health care. They got one of the best health care plans in the world, if not the world. They're getting paid because we're paying taxes.
Yes.
And a lot of times, it's years before they do anything to benefit their constituents because they have no authority in that fraternity.
Yep.
And you're going to talk about people that are getting paid to do nothing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I was something was watching the other day, and they were talking about insider trading among Congress.
Absolutely.
And how it's illegal for them to make all that money, knowing all these things ahead of time.
Absolutely.
And they won't vote to take that out. But again, it goes back to, if I'm all about me, and power and money is the most important thing, I don't care how I get it.
Look.
I don't care who it hurts.
Look. Rarely does a politician go into office in national politics poor and come out poor.
Yep.
So something in that mechanism, whether it's lobbyists, stock information, something, and watch this. They have to disclose the trades they make.
Yep.
So they're working on legislation that impacts. Now, to me, that information will qualify for insider trading.
Yeah.
But not for them. You work on the legislation, you can buy the stock 30 days after you work on the legislation. So you're ahead of the game all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not just Republicans.
No, both sides do it.
No. They say Nancy Pelosi is
she made skillful. Some money. She made some money.
Millions and millions.
Yep. It came out in the news, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, you ain't hear about it no more.
Of course.
Well, before the pandemic.
It's drawing too much attention to the mechanism.
Yep.
Because they're all being benefited by it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They said before the pandemic started, like 2 weeks before they shut everything down, they had a meeting. A bunch of them was selling off their stocks, doing stuff because they knew they were about to do a shutdown. I'm telling you, it's...
Working people suffer.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. We suffer because the businesses that are connected to those things take downturns. But as far as our salaries are concerned, they may not be affected.
Yeah.
Now, your job security may be concerned because the company has to cut back because of the losses that they sustain. But in actuality, the working people don't make their living from the stock market.
Nope.
As a matter of fact, most working people that have a 401 or some kind of retirement are not paying that much attention to the ups and downs. They just want the lump to be there.
Yep.
So whether it's making money, that's you know the gains that you had, you may lose them.
Yeah.
But the lump sum
right.
is going to be there.
Yeah.
When I hear people talk about who working every day 9 to 5, punching a clock, talking about the economy. Well, let me ask you a question, Doc.
Yeah.
Are you invested in the stock market?
Yeah.
No. So whether it goes up or down, your check's not affected?
It don't affect you not one bit.
No.
No.
Well, then what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's that hope, which is the live capitalism, that all of us can be wealthy.
Yeah.
Capitalism cannot survive if everybody's wealthy. I'm sorry, it's not possible.
Poverty has to be an element of capitalism.
Yeah. Now you can be a good steward over your money,
right?
Not be in debt, save your money, invest well, and live comfortably. But this lie that everybody has the path to be a millionaire, billionaire is not true. Not in this system.
You know what's so ironic, and we're getting ready to go there. We have about 4 minutes. Now they're kicking up this no tax on tips.
Yeah.
And no tax on overtime. But the game plan says they're going to make overtime illegal.
Yep.
So of course there won't be any taxes on it because it won't exist.
It won't exist.
You know, and no tax on tips. Ooh, no, they're not doing that because they may get to the point where all you going to make waiting tables is tips.
Is tips. Yeah. And if you don't want to work extra time, since there's no overtime, they'll just fire you and get somebody else.
That's exactly it. That's in the game plan. Project 2025. We need to talk about that because people are uninformed.
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow is Resurrection Sunday. Yes. It's Easter Sunday, you all. We are inviting you to come be a part of what God is going to do in this place, Bethany Church, Transformed Nation Church. We are looking forward to an incredible time tomorrow. It will be a presentation that I believe will be unique for you. We want you to come and be a part. We start promptly at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Of course, we have our virtual service at 8, but you want to be live and in the house at 11 also. We're going to have a great time. I would advise you get here a little early, on time. It's going to be a full house. We want to see you here and help us celebrate Resurrection Sunday. You may not know we've been fasting since Thursday night at midnight. We had prayer service on Thursday. We began our fast, 12 o'clock. We had Good Friday service last night. Today, we're resting, still meditating on the Lord. We have
video today, 7, yep.
Got a video tonight at 7 o'clock. We've had them all week long. And tomorrow's Resurrection Sunday. Now, we come and we fasted, we prayed, we worshiped. We're going to get a word tomorrow. You refuse to be comfortable. It's going to make perfect sense to you. We're going to sow our first fruit, and we're going to start using the leverage that God has given us to impact our lives. We're going to help feed the hungry. We're going to absolutely do the things that we do in this neighborhood, in this community, not only feeding people, but taking care of seniors. That's what you invest in when you help support this particular ministry.
Yeah. So
we are so inclined that you will be blessed with the children that we're able to help, those addicted that we're able to counsel and get freed from that bondage. Those are the things that you help us do as a ministry. Well, we're out of time, but we're certainly not out of conversation. For Pastor Nicholas A. Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. Now, bookstores open today. You can stop by. If you want to get some more updates, BBC News at 28950, text. If you want some inspiration, BBC Elevate to 28950. We're debuting our book tomorrow, our latest book, official release tomorrow after service. We want you to be with us. We'll be signing. We've got hats and we've got devotionals. We've got Heal Without Scars if you haven't gotten it. We've got Dare to Be a Man if you haven't gotten it. I'll be signing off personally. We want you to be here. Now, subscribe to David G. Evans 1 and BBC of NJ. We want to see you there. Participate. Let us know what impact we're having. Also, we want you to subscribe to DGEMS, DGEMS, and On Point. That's our podcast platforms. I want to see you tomorrow. We look forward to meeting you. Stay strong, stay saved, and remember this. God is still on the throne. His church cannot be destroyed. The safest place in America is the Ark of God, the church of the living God. Safe place, safe space. I want to encourage you today. Remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you. For Pastor Nicholas Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. This has been On Point, your #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show. We'll see you next time.